One of my favorite things about investing is that I get to be part of a community of investors that works around the world on different projects. Investing is such a broad sphere that there are so many different types of investments. There's so many different ways to access capital. There's so many different ways to scale your portfolio and even take it to the next level by just investing into different assets. So it's like a whole world of its own just to be a full-time investor. And so I've invested a lot of time and money in order to build relationships with people who are full-time investors. This has allowed me to learn about many different strategies and how I can scale my own portfolio in the investment world from these people. These people have already spent probably tens, if not hundreds of hours of their own time. They've spent maybe millions of dollars of their own money that they've invested into different projects. And now they've kind of found the things that work and that don't work. And so whenever you're going into an industry that you don't really know, or maybe you're not too familiar with, I always try to find people that have already done it. So let's say, for example, I want to start investing into manufacturing. Now, currently, I'm not invested into any manufacturing plants. I don't really have too much experience in that, but I do know people who are very, very experienced. So the best plan of action for me would be to reach out to those people and see if they would be willing to teach me a thing or two when it comes to investing into a manufacturing plant or investing into something that's in that field. Because if I'm going into it blindly, the chances of me being successful are not very high. And so if I want to maximize my success, it's not just about finding the right investment, because even if I have the right investment, I could technically do it wrong. I could make a mistake. I could do something that could make the entire investment unprofitable for me. But if I'm working with a partner, and this is the importance of partners, by the way, we'll talk about that in a second. But if I'm going into something, I want to find people who are experienced. But this is like a big catch here. They're most likely not going to want to do it for free. If you can position yourself in a way where, let's say I'm going into the manufacturing industry and I find a good deal, right? Or something that I think is a good deal. I could find a good deal. I'm going to do my due diligence, and then I'm going to approach somebody who is already experienced in that field. Let's say somebody who's been doing it for 20 years. I could go to him and I could say, hey, I found this deal. I think it's a great deal based on all my due diligence. Here's my research. This is why I believe it's a good deal. This is where I think it could possibly fail, but I think this is the most likely result, which is this much profit, right? If I present that deal to that person, he's going to see that I'm serious. I'm not just interested in that industry. I'm actually taking action. And so I'm somebody who's executing on that interest, executing on my desire to be in that industry. So I'm a much more serious candidate to that person than maybe somebody on the street who just says they're interested in manufacturing, right? There's a big difference there because I've already taken serious action to get me closer to that goal. So if I approach them with the deal and I explain all the research that I've done and the due diligence that I've done, they're going to see that, hey, maybe this person is somebody that I should take seriously. They're going to take me a lot more seriously. And so now the next step of all of this is asking them to partner with me. I'm not asking them to just give me free advice. I'm not asking them to tell me anything, but I'm asking them to come on at least in the capacity of an advisor. I could tell them, hey, if you want to join me as an advisor, if you want to join my advisory board for this project, I'll give you 5%, 10%, 20%, whatever it is of that project. But that advice that they're going to give me is super, super valuable. It could probably make or break the whole investment. Their advice could literally make this investment 2 times more profitable or 3 times more profitable. I don't know. But their 20 years of experience are definitely valuable when I'm moving into it with no experience. So I'm coming in as a total newbie, but this person is a seasoned veteran in that industry. And so they know the ins and outs. They have connections that I don't have. They have experience that I don't have. They've seen things that I haven't seen. And so having their experience as an advisor is super, super valuable. Now, of course, you can also take this to the next level and just ask them to be a partner. Let's say you give them 50% of everything, but they're actually more involved now. Now they're not just advising you, they're more in on the everyday operations of this investment, and they're helping you build this in such a way that it's going to be profitable. They are now very, very interested. They have vested interest in this project. They're not just advising you on how they think it should be done, and they don't really bear too much responsibility. If they become your partner, they bear a lot more responsibility. People like that who have been successful for 20 years, they're not just going to accidentally make a mistake. Sometimes they do still make mistakes, but For the most part, those people are all about executing, and when they choose to do something, they're going to make sure that they follow through on it. They're not just going to give up at the first sign of a challenge or a first issue or something breaks. They're going to push through, and they're going to make sure that this project is successful, of course, to the best of their ability. Things happen in the market. Things happen maybe, in certain projects that sometimes they just don't work out. But if you have a person like that, somebody that's experienced, somebody that's seasoned, that sets you up for the best chance of success with that investment. So whenever I'm going into an investment opportunity that I've never done before, I find somebody who has a ton of experience, and I ask them whether they'd like to be an advisor to me or also potentially a partner, just kind of also depending on the relationship that I have with that person. If I like working with that person, then I'm going to potentially want to have them as a partner. Maybe I want this to be a long-term thing. I also have to think about, hey, is this the only time I'm going to do a project like this? Maybe they are located in Texas, let's say. Is this the only project that I'm going to be doing in Texas? Or maybe I have other projects that I'm doing in Texas. Or maybe I want to do other manufacturing projects in Texas. Depending on my long-term plan, I may potentially just bring them on as a partner. And even if I know I could have done just as well with them as an advisor, I may bring them as a partner and give them that extra equity because I want to build that relationship with them. I want to provide value to their life because I know that they could potentially help me in the future and they could potentially be a partner with me in the future. So these are business relationships that we're building because we know that person is experienced. We're going to have to give them some sort of value. We're going to have to give them something in order for them to help us. And that's usually how it works. Now, of course, there's always exceptions and there's always different things that can happen, but for the most part, you're going to want to work with people like that in a capacity where you're value forward is what it's called. You come to them with value that you can provide to them. And then in return, if they choose to help you or if they choose to advise you, that's totally on them. I wouldn't go into it with the expectation of them giving you something, but I would go into it with the expectation of you giving them something. And then I found that it usually results in a great relationship where you're mutually beneficial to each other because chances are I know people that person doesn't know. I have connections that person doesn't know. I have resources that person doesn't know. But specifically in manufacturing, this might be the most valuable person for me to have on my team. Specifically in manufacturing, this person may have resources that I've never even heard of, softwares that I've never used, maybe equipment that I've never even seen in real life. This person may be experienced, maybe what brand of equipment I should be using. Right? All these different things. These are all tricks of the trade or expertise in that industry that I don't possess because I've never been in that industry. But of course, as I get more experience in the industry, I will also have those same resources. But if I find a person that's way more experienced than me, I'm more than happy to bring them on as an equity partner, as an advisor, and have them run the project with me until eventually I can learn how to do it on my own. And then of course, they don't have to continue working with me, but I've at least provided value to their life, and if they chose to work with me and be a partner with me, then great. The project was most likely successful and I can continue and scale and move on to the next projects because of that experience that I had. Alrighty guys, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all on the next video.